working hard or hardly working? I'm trying to work hard. I do have some stuff. So this is part of a series, which I suppose you could tell from the title of this stream. Trying to get ready for Clericon this weekend. And of course, it's fast approaching since I will be leaving tomorrow. So, not that I won't have any ape capabilities to work on it after today, but I really need to get as much done today as possible. Because if I don't, whatever I don't get done today, it's going to be an uphill struggle to get done before I have to play. So it's kind of incumbent on me. I'd kind of forgotten about it. I had basically a starter document that I had worked on a bit. So I basically pasted, I didn't have a ton of work done, but I had some stuff on the wilderness. I'm probably going to tweak and replace a bunch of it, but I threw that in here. So this is the stuff kind of out of the wilderness. I'm gonna have to do some descriptions, but first I need to figure out what's living here. I have a couple of set locations with some critters that I remember I'd come up with before, which were there was a minstrel that the VIP is a cult spy who's actually a bard, and I don't know how I'll stat the bard up. Probably like a thief type, because there's no bards in BX by default. There's a monkey wolf, and then there's a swamp giant, and this thing called grasping nightshade, which is these vines. So I have those specific critters. Those are kind of the swamp giant, the grasping nightshade, the monkey wolf. They're kind of a one. So I might do the thing like in Wolves on the Coast, where if you're close to on the wandering creature table, oh, you're close, so you might get the check to see if the monkey wolf is still out there, and if so, you get the monkey wolf if you're near enough to their lair. But just to bolster that, I need to get some wandering creatures. So I'm just gonna roll some up. So what has been my default for a while now, and you could do this with any. I talked about this when I talked about random encounters and wandering creatures, developing your own list. For me, the first thing I tend to do is come here to BX, and I just start rolling on these tables, and that will become my list of creatures that are in this area. So if you look at here, I'm looking at the expert set. If you look at this expert set, this wilderness encounter table, as kind of a global set, it's trying to give you a mishmash of stuff that could be found anywhere. The only thing it's tracking, as you can see here, is the terrain and the type of creature. I have 3 areas. I suppose I could make a table here. Hold on a minute. Let's do that. Let's insert a table. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, something like that. Let's just do that. I have 3. I guess you could call it 4. Let's call it 3 areas, which is the heights, the low valley, and then there's a swamp, who I have to name, but I have not named yet. And there's an escarpment that separates the two. So it's the heights and the low valley are basically both wooded areas. We come back and look at the map. These are the heights, wooded area, low valley, wood. I'm not going to really, probably won't even, maybe I'll have an encounter table here. I know if I will, but forest, and then you have this piece of swamp / forest, or you could call it swampy forest, wetlands, kind of in the middle. So I'll just keep that extra column. Maybe I'll put a die rolling thing in there. So we'll go from here. I'm just gonna, where's the style? Where's the hand? Oh, there they are. I'm staring at the styles and I don't. Okay, we'll do that. So now I'm gonna roll. So this is forest. Low Valley is also forest. But this gives me an opportunity to have some different things. We're not going to have the same stuff. I know that there's a swamp giant. And I think the monkey, where did I have the monkey dog? Monkey wolf was over here, right in that area. So the monkey wolf is in the heights. So we'll put this here. And we'll put the swamp giant here. the other creature, while the wilderness creature here, the grasping nightshade, it's in the swamp, but it's not wandering. It's just there. So I don't need to put it on the table. I think actually yeah, that would go in here, but I'm not going to put it on there. It's more of a almost an environmental effect, if I'm recalling correctly. I may need to refresh my memories on that. So now what I must do is I'm going to need a D8 and a D12. That's a D10. There's the D12. That's a D20. There's the D12. Hold on, let me find the D8. There's the D8. Okay. I'm pretty confident about the Swamp Giant. How about some Dark Creepers? I don't know. The Swamp Giant, there's a other than besides being just a hazard of this area, the fact the Swamp Giant's here, there's a map fragment that you can get if they get in the fort that will have a location that will put them. I think it's actually the location is the location of the lair. So it's kind of a little bit of an extra credit thing if they want to go after it. Dark Creepers, yeah, I mean they're good too. I don't know, we'll see. I like to kind of play it. I like to kind of play it by the tables, see what I get. Now, obviously, I am going to be limited by BX, right? I'm limited by the creatures that are going to show up in BX. If I had more time, I might widen the field. I'm a big Fiend Folio fan. Triple F Fiend Folio fan, but I don't have time. I do not have time for that. So I'm just going to go simple. If I get some inspiration, maybe I'll come back later in the night and I'll page through it. That's where I could do something in the moment, swap out a creature. But let's just get a sense of what we got here. So I'm going to need the D8. I got the D8. I think everything's a D12. I'm not even really worried about the numbers per se. I can look up the numbers at the last minute or whatever. It's more about to get the monster types. So the first thing I got, and we're going to do I guess we'll start with the heights, which is forest. If they had mixed types, I might do mixed forest. And maybe I could do hill to get something different. Maybe I'll do hill just to get a different, because I don't want to get too much forest overlap, but should be pretty good. Anyway, we'll do hill for the height. So I got 2 and then 3. So 2, you roll on the first table. If you're not familiar with these kind of tables, the first thing you do is you decide what terrain you're in. And yeah, for the heights, we'll do hills. It's forested, but I'll give it hills with the escarpment there. We'll do hills. So I got a 2, which means I check the flyer subcategory. So then you can see there's a bunch of these smaller categories or subtables. So here we have for people, humans, basically humanoids, and then down here, more humanoids, animals, dragons, insects, undead, unusual, swimmers, and flyers. So I got flyers. And then for the next number I got, which is a D12. So it's always for these tables, it's a D8 plus a D12, always. So you can, doing what I'm doing is rolling them both together. I got a 3, which gives me, it's not a mountain, it's other, so I'll take a griffin for 500, Alex. So we'll throw a griffin. In there. Now I got to go back. I got a 3 and a 5. Does that give me another flyer? So 3 on this list. Nope, humanoid. All right, and now, sorry, and a 5, right? 5 was that. So humanoid. Wait a minute. Hills or mountains? Yeah, right, I'm sorry. Humanoid, it cuts across the 2 pages, so I had to go down here. So humanoid 5, Barrens, Mountains, Hills is a stone giant. Oh, interesting. Two and a 7. A 2 and a 7 gives me a flyer again. I'm not averse to. Hey, Warrior King. Flyer and 7 other gives me a Pegasus. I'll have to see where that. And this is a first, I'm doing this as a first run through. I don't have a lot of time to do a bunch more runs. I am going to feel free, as you should, to not, if the table's not coming out the way you want it, fix it. But I always find I like to just give a random flow, or just, sorry, get a random set, kind of gets me in the flow, and then I'll decide, oh, Pegasus doesn't make sense, or maybe I'll think, ooh, there is a reason why I think a Pegasus could make sense. And then use it. I'm actually already thinking, was the Pegasus a component of the ritual that escaped? And then that could be a fun moment as you find the Pegasus who's wounded, so it can't fly too far, and it's got some kind of chain attached to it. See, that already makes me think of something. Now maybe I'll end up discarding and saying, I don't really like it, but it's just kind of a neat idea, right? So that's kind of why I like the randomization. But if I get some stuff that totally doesn't fit, or it's just too random, or it's got too much of one sort of thing, I'm gonna feel free to get rid of them. So that was the Pegasus. Was that what I just got? 3 and then 4. Wait, was that the Pegasus? No. I'll roll. Let me just roll it again. I don't need to. There we go. All right. So I got a 7, 7 and 3. So 7 on the main table gives us a dragon, and then on the dragon table, 3, a blue dragon. All heavy hitters. As kind of a campaign starter with probably low-level people, maybe they'll either make this a young dragon, maybe it's a dragon that just passes overhead. We'll see. This area up here clearly seems to be living up to a dangerous name. Now 4 and, is that 1 or 7? 1. 4 and 1. 4 and 1 gives us 4 is unusual. Not unusual enough, and then unusual and 1 gives us a basilisk. Man, oh man. Okay, and then finally, we've got 2 and 5. What is 2 and 5? 2's a flyer again, and flyer is a hippogriff. So I got a griffin, and a hippogriff. That kind of makes sense. I mean, if you assume that since a hippogriff is part griffin, that it might make sense that you could have a hippogriff and a griffin in the same area. Yeah, I'm thinking griffins, not necessarily, right? So if you want to look at this, okay, it's all, I mean, the Pegasus isn't bad news. And I might need to lean into what is a positive thing about the Pegasus. Blue dragon, basilisk, stone giant, we definitely could be possibilities to decide whether I will probably, especially with some of these like the giants, I would definitely, I don't know if maybe I'll roll for their alignment or I'll play it kind of loosely. I definitely don't want to make, they're not obviously in the kind of game I'm playing. You're going to have opportunities to RP, but I might even think about some motivations for some of these guys. It's just kind of what they're doing, just to help me out. Especially the blue dragon, that just might be a flyby kind of thing, I think. I'm not certain. I do like the idea of, oh man, so I do like the idea of the ritual gone wrong, kind of stirring up stuff that didn't need to be stirred up, and maybe the dragon, maybe the magic attracted the dragon. Right, and even the stone giant could be a symptomatic of that, or of the fact that they've been working on stones, so that it attracted the attention of this stone giant. So some interesting directions there. And then the hippogriff and the griffin, that could be where they live, or part of their range. And then the monkey wolf, we'll see how that goes. All right, so that is the heights. I guess I'll change this terrain to hills. I'll probably take out those parens later. I just want to keep them in mind for now. So now for the low valley, which is forest. I guess I'll put the swamp giant in the swamp because he is there. Oh, I put the swamp giant in low valley. Okay, that's fine. Actually, it could be in both. It's only 1 hex. All right, so let me roll this again. And I got a 7, 7 and a 4. 7 and a 4 for the forest, woods, animal. So finally an animal, and 4 panther. All right, that kind of let's call it a big cat for right now. Big cat. All right, kind of mountain lion, maybe cougar. 4 and 7. Whoops. 4 is insect, and then 7 is Ragadessa. What is Ragadessa again? I know I had to look this up because it came up a couple of streams ago and I didn't know where it was. What's a Ragadessa? Ragadessa is a genus of raggeded camel spiders. Okay, so giant spiders. All right, that's fine. I'll just do that. Let's see. No, I got not. Oh yeah, on the D12. 4 and 9. So 4 is no, woods. 4 is insect again, right? And then 9 is giant scorpions. I don't feel like giant scorpions fit the forest. Sorry, I'm gonna skip that one. Small scorpions, maybe. Giant scorpions, it doesn't seem like the thing. 7 and 11. What's 7 in the woods? 7 in the woods is an animal, and 11 gets us wolf. Our wolves are good. Wolves are good. I got 7 and 11 again. So wolves twice. That just means there's a better chance of getting wolves. So maybe I'll have 2 sizes of wolves, a small pack and a big pack. Something like that to differentiate them. 4 and 2. 4 and 2 is insect again. Why can't I get the insects in the swamp where I think oil beetle? Hey, Mercurius. Wow. Thanks again. 4 and 2. I'm gonna. You know what? I don't want the insects. God, I feel like the spiders are enough. 8 and 1. 8 and 1. Dragon again. Jeez Louise. Dragons everywhere. Chimera. Okay. Actually, that's kind of funny because there was a magic item that is in here that's made from a bit of Chimera. So that kind of tracks, actually. And then 2 and 12. 2 is flyer, and 12 is Sturgis. All right. So we got wolves and giant spiders, big cat, chimera, Sturgis, and then the swamp giant might show up if he's roving around. 7 and 3. So now we're finally in the swamp, or rather 3 and 7. Swamp 3 is humanoid. Nixies. Okay, I'm okay with Nixies. You down with Nixies? You down with the clown? We got 3 and I keep 1. 3 and 1. 3 is humanoid again. 1 is gnolls. Maybe just a few. I don't think maybe they work for the swamp giant. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. Might need to play around with that a bit. 5. Oh, yeah, no. Yes, 5 and a dose. 5 and a 2. Animal. And a 2 in the, let's see, grasslands, woods, river, barren, desert, inhabited, jungle, optional, prehistoric. Saber-toothed cat. Where's the, do I do river for swamp? Where the heck would swamps go? I'm just going to say large crocodile. I'm going to make a game time decision. Game time decision there. One. No, sorry. Oh, 1-1. Uno y uno. So uno, one in swamp is men. And then brigands. Actually, that makes sense. So these I'm just going to put cultists. And that actually tracks because the hidden cache was placed there by the cultists. So it makes sense there might be some cultists around there. 2 and 12. 2 and... Whoops, going the wrong way. 2 and 12. 2 in the swamp's a flyer. Like my flyers. 12 is Sturges again. That's fine. We got Sturges. I would say that maybe their nest is in that swamp. Or whatever Sturges do. And then finally, 5 and 12. 5 is animal. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. 5 is undead. And 12 is zombies. Okay. All right. So now we have our initial list. And I will potentially tweak these up, do whatever, but right now in the heights, griffins, stone giants, Pegasus, blue dragon, basilisk, hippogriff, and the monkey wolf. I think a number of these are going to be singular critters. Hey, some guy, going pretty good. Working on, trying to wrap this thing up. I'm not at the point where I can say I'm wrapping it up, but trying to. No, let's see. I think if I trying to work on getting this done. There we go. Actually, isn't there one where we'll open it up? No. There we go. Control Shift is what did that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at that. I have one too many. Interesting. I'll put a 7 in here. Maybe I'll do some kind of modifier. We'll see how that works. I might rearrange these two. Might not be set in stone. So in the heights we have griffins, hippogriffs, basilisks, blue giant, Pegasus, stone giant, the monkey wolf. I do like the idea of the Pegasus. Or a lot of these are going to be, like I said, they're going to be kind of one-off. They're individuals. They're individual creatures. There is one stone giant. There is one monkey wolf. There is a single Pegasus. There's a single blue dragon. Basilisk. Maybe I will. I'll put that. Maybe it was driven out of the fort, so it's in that area. That might be kind of good. I might actually. Ooh, I'll make some notes. Where can I make some notes? So let's make some notes. So we have the basilisk was driven, had its lair in the ruined fort, but was driven out by the cultists. I need to come up with a name of the cultists, but now it wanders the heights in search of a new nest. So there we go. But this means that there's what this means. Sorry if you can hear it. A ambulance is just crossing the street. No. What's that creature? Oh, that's the description, which is this. Let me look up the basilisk stats. Oh, if it's here, I do have basic set. I'm not sure exactly if the basilisk. That's the one issue, and some of that OSC. It's one of the things that think it's easy to give. I mean, it's you give them credit. One of the nice things that OSC does is unites these things together, so that you don't have to then decide or you don't have to try to remember which book Basilisk is in. Is it in here? Is it in there? I don't know. Well, we're gonna find out, and then there's a good chance I might have to swap books. But I do have it. It's right here, so it's available to me. But it's just one of those things that you're saved the trouble of having to do. Okay, Centaur. Okay, Basilisk. It's here. So we have. All right. So it is. So it's a magical lizard. Hit die 6 plus 1 double star. AC 4. Oh, I said HD. I mean DH, not DH, HD. HD. 6 plus 1 double star. AC 4. Let's see. Sorry. So hit points. What is 6 times? Let's see. Okay, so I'm just averaging out. I'm not trying to. I'm saving myself rolling dice for things like HP. At the moment I don't care what to have the variance in hit dice, hit points, especially for there's just one of them. So I'm just going to use averages and figure it out as a shorthand. So the average of 1d6 is 3.5. So 2 gives you 7, 4 gives you 14, and that would mean 6 gives you 21 plus 1, 22 hit points. Hit points 22. Right. Save as fighter 6. Wow. Oh, I forgot to usually do attacks. Attack, 1 bite, plus gaze. And that's 1d10 damage, plus petrification. That's a nasty piece of business. A number appearing 1 to 6. I'm just going to say there's 1. Oh, it saves as fighter 6. Oh, yeah, I had fighter 6, right. I said that. Oh, treasure type. I haven't really been mucking around with treasure types. I should probably throw that in there. Or maybe I'll just roll up its treasure. I'll just roll up its treasure now. And actually, what I'll do is I had a thought. I had a thought, which is where I thought I had OSE up here. Yes, I did. So it's treasure type F. What do we get for treasure type F? What kind of things? What is treasure type F? Okay, so it's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put actually that there will be a crack or something on the outer part of the wall. How big are basilisks? How big do they say they are? Do they say? They might not even. What do they say? Basilisk? Oh, it's 10 foot long. Yeah, so I'm going to say there's some kind of, this will be one of those fun things, right? So that in the, I'm doing D6s for some guy. I'm just doing, one of the things I do is I'm not doing variable. I do D6s all the way around for weapons and for hit points. So yes, technically, yes, BX is D8s. I do D6s. I do D6s all the way. So yes, you are correct, but I use D6s. Okay. So they're 10 feet long. Sinuous lizard. There we go. Okay, had its lair. Right, so now I'm going to do... I'll have to make an... So let's make a quick note. This will be kind of fun. Oh, I don't know if fun is the right word. But here we can put on a thing. Let's see. All right, so we're going to put this there. We're going to call this outside the fort. And now I'm just going to look at my map really quick. So we'll put it, I want on the backside. There is a crack in the outer wall on the north side of the fort. Let's see. All right. Some guy says, I've actually been thinking about using D6s for all weapons too, but just haven't done it yet. Yeah, I like it. I like the D6. I like, so you can look at something like Wolves Upon the Coast, does some neat things with weapon effects. I just like doing D6 for everything. I like the idea that basically for normal types, that essentially your, and really for everybody, but you don't get more, at first level, you basically have the same hit points as a normal type, and then you kind of extend from there, but that everybody has D6s, which is kind of means that your weapons means that every weapon blow is potentially fatal, right? If your average hit points is 3.5 and your average weapons 3.5, then on average, it's a killing blow, and I just kind of even it out. For fighters, I usually will adapt something from the white box, something to give them more heroic capabilities where they can kind of wipe the floor with normal types once they reach 4th level or so. I'll do something like that. So, but I'll just pretty much keep D6s for everybody, including monsters. I don't know. I just kind of like it. Hey, Zagolf, if you go to, so apologies if you're having trouble finding the streams after they've done. I did a channel update video. I know they're boring and he wants to hear that, where I kind of went over the thought process between why I'm doing them. So what I'm doing now is they're public because obviously you can't find, it's really hard to find if they're not public. And then I set them to unlisted, which means they don't show up on their own, but they do show up as part of playlists. And I have a bunch of playlists that have different variations of streams. And if you just go look at one of the streaming playlists, and I think I even made a Clericon 2024 stream playlist, which I haven't added this one to, but I will after this is over. You can go look on those and find all the old streams. So they're there. They're just a little bit hidden, and I apologize for that. But I was finding, I'm trying to get the balance between not, not to sidetrack, but I guess I was finding, or I was feeling with that maybe there was kind of a, what would we call it? Like feed fatigue. A couple of things. One, I felt like there might be feed fatigue where I'm doing too much stuff and it's showing up all the time. And then two, if you're only interested in one kind of thing that I do, but you're getting inundated with the other, let's say I do 5 different sorts of things, right? I'll do a kind of DM tips videos. I'll do these kind of working stream videos. I'll do, hex crawl videos. I'll do reads. I'll do something else. So I got 5 different things going on, and granted, they're all sort of about in the same neighborhood, but you might be interested in, say, which I think a lot of people are, in one thing and not in the others, and now you're getting hit in your feed with this bunch of things I'm doing, and those things don't interest you. I think that people either just don't end up not watching or checking out, or both. And I was noticing weird trends that I was trying to solve for in terms of, well, how can I don't want to stop doing this stuff because I enjoy it, and part of what allows me to do this stuff is that I enjoy it. I mean, I know what happens is often people get, YouTube's a job, and granted, YouTube doesn't, I don't make any money at this at all much, but the pittance I do is just paying myself back for all the purchases that I have already made just to try to get to where I am, let alone do anything else. But part of the thing is that I'm doing things that I really, and I hope it shows through, that I really enjoy doing. But it's a little bit all over the place. So what I decided to do was, since a lot of the things that are hitting people constantly are streams, I thought of the things I could do, the one that's the least nuclear option would be to somehow separate streams out a bit. And so that's what I'm doing. At first, I tried to do it where I was just going to have it unlisted and then you use other kind of social media things and channel posts to kind of let people, hey, this stream's coming. It wasn't working. I think people might get the notification, but they might miss it. And then if they miss that one notification, then they just don't see it. I find that doing it and making them public during the stream is good because it has that discoverability. People are interested, will see it when they hit YouTube, and they'll, potential to pop in. But I think it's been working pretty well in terms of what my goals, which are to do the things, the people who really want the things. Hopefully, now that I've told you, Zagof, you'll be able to go and find them. So there might be a little bit of a pain point there in terms of the first time or first couple times you're wondering, like, what happened? I'm on part 4 of a stream and I never saw parts 1 through 3. But go to the streams, go to my playlist and check out streams, or just ask me. I'll point you in that direction. And then you can find out, I'm hoping that pain point aside, that it has a little bit of better thing. Because the other option would be, I was just saying, well, maybe I need to have another channel that's just streams and long form, that kind of long form stuff. And then you'll just opt in by subscribing to that channel. And and there's a chance I might end up still doing that. I don't know. We'll have to see. But this right now, I feel like is working pretty well. So you guys let me know if it's not working for you, or if you aren't getting notified. And I was going to make a poll. Maybe I'll make it tonight or tomorrow or something about kind of where folks are getting notified and coming to these kind of streams. And I'm going to guess it's off of just stuff in YouTube and not elsewhere. Because that's the other thing. It's just, I don't know if it's just the randomness of how people come together, but a lot of folks who are involved with me in the channel, I seem like interface pretty much through YouTube mostly. Like, I have a Discord, I have a forums, I have other things, but that community really seems to be YouTube centric, and that the folks have not come over to the Discord and interact with me over there, or have not joined the forums and interact with me over there. So that it means that YouTube is kind of the main point. I'd love to kind of change that, because I hate the idea of all my eggs being in one basket. And if YouTube were to blow up, or YouTube were to get angry at me, or I don't know, whatever, it would be very difficult for me to pull, to get the diaspora back. But that's just, for the moment, it is what it is, and I'm just trying different things. So I hope that cleared things up a bit and maybe gave you some context, and I hope I didn't bore everybody else. All right, so what I was gonna do is make a lair for the basilisk that it abandoned. There's a crack in the outer wall of the north side of the fort. That's the fort. A burrow in the foundation of the outer wall of the fort on the north side. Outer wall of the fort, yeah, on the north side. A 5-foot wide tunnel burrows down into the ground. It travels about 50 feet and opens up into a small clawed out chamber. This was the lair of the basilisk, but it has been abandoned since the cultists took command of the fort. The basilisks, let's see, what are we calling this? Treasure. The basilisk's treasure. Hey, Magnus. The basilisk's treasure, however, remains, and it has yet to be discovered. I mean, I'll probably get rid of some of that verbiage, but there we go. So now we've got that, and it's treasure type F, so that's actually pretty good as far as things go. Treasure type F, 7,700 gold piece average. And right now it's essentially unprotected. Though I put it on the north side because I don't want it to be, oh, you come out and you just find it. But if you come out and you have maybe the wherewithal to check around, then you might see it. And actually, that fight, that might even give you a place to hide because it's kind of undiscovered at the moment. There hasn't been, nobody's paid attention to it. So I might follow that up with some other things. Maybe to explain why that it's not. Maybe some brush or something covers it. Any case, let's roll up the treasure type F. Let's roll up some loots. Let's see what we get. Treasure type F. That's boring. Come on, boring. Man, I don't want. Come on, give me something not boring. Oh, here we go. So, all right. Half buried in the bones and detritus that line the floor of the nest are shield +1, ring. I guess I should uppercase shield. Ring of protection +1. Whoa, broom of flying. Broom of flying. Potion of ESP. And protection from lycanthropes. And a scroll of protection. All right. Well, that's a nice little piece of nice little thing if you can find it. So let me see if I can rewrite this a little bit better. Okay. Here we go. On the north side of the fort, obscured by a cluster of prickly shrubs, is a cluster of shrubs and a large, a lumpy boulder. Is a crack. Is a crack in the outer wall that has been dug through and down steeply. Dug through and down, forming a steep tunnel. I don't know. I would imagine these lizards are not as much. So I'll say it's maybe 3 feet wide, 3 feet in diameter. Remember, Magnus was innocent. What would R-dubs? Am I missing something? What could Magnus have done that I need to remember that he's innocent? 3 feet in diameter. At the bottom of the tunnel, let's see, after 50 feet, the tunnel levels out into a hollowed chamber. The floor is covered in, let's see, so I guess they're in, what would we call it? Oh shoot, let's see. In discarded scales flakes of discarded scales, gossamer sheets of shed skin, bones, and other detritus. Okay, Magnus. All right. See, I totally missed. See, I am a 40K meme. Yeah, that I'd be the last person to get the 40K meme. All right, so I think this is pretty good. So I'm trying to write this a little bit. I'm just laying it out here, right? On the north side of the fort, obscured by a cluster of prickly shrubs and a large lumpy boulder, is a crack in the outer wall that has been dug through and down to form. Has been dug through and down. Has been dug. That has been dug through, forming a steep downward tunnel 3 feet in diameter. After 50 feet, the tunnel levels out into a hollowed chamber. The floor is covered in flakes of discarded scales, gossamer sheets of shed skin, bones, and other detritus. Half buried in the buried beneath this carpet. I would just say buried amongst I don't know, buried amongst the, I don't know, within the, I'll have to figure that out. All right, so within that are a shield +1, a ring of protection +1, a broom of flying, a potion of ESP, and a scroll of protection from lycanthropes. So some decent bits here. For a campaign kind of thing, I'd probably leave the protection from lycanthropes alone, because it may be useful in other places, just not useful here. For the purposes of running this as kind of an intro / well, in my case, as a one-shot, I might replace the scroll protection with something that's might be more useful. But we'll see. I'll have to come back to it. I'm curious if anyone's even going to see this. It's one of those things which to me is fine. Like, I don't think everything needs to be immediately discoverable and have trails and signs pointing it. It's kind of that thing of, and a lot of it's going to depend on the circumstances. Does the party have time to look around? Are they running around for somewhere to hide? What are they doing? So they maybe they'll have time, maybe they don't. But then, in terms of if this were a campaign starter, they might come back to the fort and that thing might be there. Or you could roll that somebody else found it and now there's somebody flying around on a broomstick cackling in the night. It's totally fine. Right? I think that I'm not trying to make something where it's like the amusement park where you ride every ride. There's just stuff that's going to be fun, stuff that'll be interesting to see whether people find it or not. They can kind of be almost Easter eggs. And if not, they don't. Right? If not, then that's fine. Brian says, so as I'm apt to do, this is Brian speaking, I've written up a whole slew of ideas I want to cram into 4-ish hour one-shots this Saturday. How do I funnel it all down? Any suggestions? The party will be 5 5th-level dudes. Want to challenge them without getting into a huge, complicated combat slog. What system are you playing, Brian? I can't remember. Is this a 5e thing? So is combat slog... Is that a... Because if you're playing 5e, chances are you're going to get some of that anyway. And I think the thing that's interesting, right, is I think if you come from a sort of an anti or outside 5e perspective, then the concept of a combat slog is probably going to mean something different to someone with a 5e player. Because I think if you're playing 5e, I think a lot of 5e players, and rightfully so, because so much of their abilities are combat focused, are not they're not anti-combat. They actually want to fight. They want to show off all these things. They're 5th level. They've got all this, that, and the other. And 99% of those are going to be things you're doing to enemies in a combat situation. So they want to use them. I totally get that. So you need to have the combats. I think I mentioned, because I think you, Brian, might have called this before. I think the concept of minions from 4E, where they basically just have a hit point, but you kind of gotta sort of deal with them, but they're not. I think is they scale up so they can be kind of a 5th level minion, but still go out with 1 hit is a good one. You might want to do some kind of smaller sort of running battles, especially if you're trying to do some kind of exhaustion of resources sort of thing. Maybe, I'd also want them to understand that they're not going to be able to take a bunch of rests in between things, so they have to be a little more economical with how they're spending their stuff. They can't just, what's the word they use now? They can't just Nova. I think that's what they use. They can't just Nova at the first sign of trouble. I think you could certainly, one thing I think, Brian, that can really help with this is give everybody objectives. Give the enemies objectives, give the party objectives. And then once an objective is met, or it's clear that an objective is not going to be met, then creatures and characters can act accordingly. Now, you can't force your player characters to call off the chase or something if it's clear they're not going to catch the bad guy. I mean, you could tell them, well, you're not going to catch them. And then maybe they give up, maybe they don't, right? Who knows? But in terms of, you can have something like, oh, the ritual's taking place, and if you don't stop them in so long, then the ritual happens, and then you can have this kind of scenario changer, where maybe it's like, well, the enemy's already done the ritual, so now they're trying to run away, or they've conjured Godzilla, or whatever's happened, or it could be something like they're trying to pull a lever, and the lever does something, and so once that's happened, once someone's gotten to the lever and pulled it, and it's raised up the gates, or it's shut the gates closed, or it's done something, then that you can sort of wrap up the combat, right? So let's imagine there's an elevator, and the big bad guy's going to get away, but somebody's got to go hit the power to turn the elevator on before the elevator can go up. And so the bad guy's gotten in the elevator, and his lieutenant's running to hit the power button on the generator. And okay, so the party's trying to stop him, and they don't stop the guy from hitting the button. So the bad guy goes up the elevator. At that point, the lieutenant could just be, okay, hands up, I'm done. Right? I had a thing to do. My task was to make sure my boss escaped, which he now has done. I don't need to keep fighting. Right? I give up. I surrender. Which you see actually a lot. It's kind of, it's a pretty well-used trope in movies and things, right? Or where something has to be done, and when they've done that thing, it's like, okay, you can capture me now because I already did the thing I needed to do. So I would probably something like that, so that you can short circuit. I think ultimately is you want to short circuit the continuous fighting to the death, fighting to the bitter end. Oh, they got 2 guys with 2 hit points left, and we're going to keep rolling. It's like, have people surrender, give them goals, have those goals be accomplished, have them run away, have them turn and stab each other. The whatever the fantasy equivalent, I assume, playing a fantasy game of cracking the tooth with the cyanide capsule and doing it. Because as a GM at a certain point, they're going to lose. Like, oh, I got 3 hobgoblins here. Yeah, I could whittle down the PCs a little bit more, but they're going to lose. So when I get to that point where I'm thinking they're going to lose, then I start thinking about, well, what is their plan now? Because if I think they're going to lose, I'm just going to assume that they know they're going to lose. They're going to lose. So now what's their end game? Get away, surrender, blow themselves up, kill themselves, do a cyanide capsule kind of thing. Whatever it is, then do that. And so for me anyway, that where you got to just kill every single last person, that the GM's like, well, there's 2 guys left. It's like, man, we got 8 people. We've slaughtered everybody. Like, why are these 2 guys still bothering us? Why are you going to make us go 1, 2, 3 more rounds, depending on if we get lucky or we get unlucky and we're missing and we might get hurt more. And it's just, why are you making us do this? Just stop the fight. The fight's over. Everyone knows it's over. So stop the fight. And as an aside, besides minions, one of the other things I really liked from 4th edition was the concept of bloodied, which was a nice thing for players and for me as a GM, of being able to say, basically, bloodied was a condition that a creature would pick up when they lost half their hit points. And I kind of liked it because fictionally, to me, always came to mind, and when you're watching a fighting movie or a kung fu movie, and you got two guys and they're fighting, and there'll be one point where one of them will get some pop in there, right? And the guy will see the little bit of blood on their lip or something where they're like, oh, you really got me, right? And it doesn't change everything to a huge degree, but it's just like, okay, you're hurt. I've hurt you, and I know you've hurt you, and you know I've hurt you. Everybody knows when you act like bloodied conditions, basically everybody knows you've been hurt. And I always would take that on the GM side is once my creatures or the boss or whoever got bloodied, that was, and I think oftentimes in 4th edition, it would be already too late. But just as a general kind of thing, you can use bloodied for, I'm bloodied. What does the rest of the battlefield look like? If it doesn't look like I'm on the cusp of winning, I'm probably losing. And if I'm probably losing, don't wait till I've got 1 or 2 hit points left before I figure out my end game. Put your end game into motion now. That bloodied should be, to me, when your creatures, when your NPCs hit bloodied, they should be looking at it and saying, am I winning this? Is it clear that I'm winning this? If it is, then maybe if I am, then maybe I keep doing what I'm doing. But if I'm not, just about anything else would be no. Either clearly you're winning because everyone else is, being saved from death saves and everything else. And you're like, okay, I'm fine. But other than that, you're like, I'm probably losing. So now don't wait. You hit that bloodied point, and you're like, yep. Like best case scenario, I might be able to do a Pyrrhic victory and knock out 5 of them, but I'm losing. Because if you're losing that fight, that stuff doesn't matter to you. Maybe you want to say you're their bitterest enemy, and you are the Ahab to their white whale, and so you're just going to try to do as much damage on your way out. My guys I play, I'm like, they usually want to survive. They can come back and do that another day. But probably unless this is the end of the end, they're not going to do that. So then when that bloodied is that thing to me of like, oh, okay, they know I'm hurt. I know I'm hurt. What's my end game? How am I getting out of here? How am I setting up my retreat? Or do I have some big ability I can do to try to blam and get out? Like, what can I do? Do I have some kind of game changer in my pocket? Right. So use that. Even if you don't want to shout out bloodied, but it was kind of fun and for you. We're like, oh, they're bloodied because it was like, ooh, something's happening. And they mechanized it. Different creatures had bloodied effects and things like that. It was kind of fun. But just in terms of looking at that half hit point mark, as a GM, as you're running your creatures and saying, okay, they're at half HP. How's this battle looking? Probably time to finish it one way or another. And don't drag it out. Figure out. Change the game. If I'm not clearly winning, I'm probably losing. And if I'm probably losing, it means that it's time to get out or do whatever thing, hit the doomsday device, whatever it is. All right, what else? So I got, okay, where am I doing on? I'm almost out of time here. Let's see. So, okay, we got that stuff. Hollow to a hollow chamber. All right, didn't like hollowed. I like to do dugout. I'm trying to do. Downer. Okay. So I got that basilisk. TT, none. C, abandoned lair. Above. Brian says that save the bitter end fight to be the penultimate one with the portal tentacles. Yeah, or maybe the end, like that, like the last fight where you gotta seal everything up. Isn't penultimate the next to last? Or am I misremembering what penultimate means? Do I need to do a lookup on penultimate? I guess I do. Now I'm misremembering myself. Next to last, right. Yeah, I would definitely put in your last fight. Because then the game's ending, and if it's like they're having fun and they want to do the whole wrap up everybody or just sweep up the survivors kind of thing and then pummel them, to do it. But yeah, save that kind of thing for where there's nowhere to go. The enemy's cornered. This is their last plan. There's absolutely nothing else. Their backs are against the wall. There's no escape. And even in one shots, the idea of the enemy escaping is, I think, is a fun potential. You won, but the bad guy got away. Oh, so you didn't score an A. You got an A minus, or you got a B plus. All right, so Golf's got a question. Let's see here. I need my glasses, I think, for this. Let me ask a thing. I'm starting a sketch of a hex crawl campaign and made a table to decide what's the feature. Oh, okay, so this is part one. All right, Zach, I'll wait for the rest of your... I'll keep working here for a few minutes while I'm waiting for the rest of your question, but I like it. Hex crawl. Table. I'm in. 1 to 2 dungeon, 3 to 4 lair, 5 to 6 settlement, 7 to 8 ruins, 9 to 10 man-built landmark, 11 natural landmark, 12 magic or weird event or location. All right, sounds good. Let's see. Now for the question part. What can I do in the meantime? All right, so the basilisk is there. I got to come up with a name for this guy, but I will give him the monkey wolf. Okay, having a hard time with coming up with natural landmarks. Can I recommend sources to generate sparks to them? Natural landmarks. Do I have any good sources on natural landmarks? Oh, that's a good question. So, I don't know if I do. It's kind of the thing where I know I'm looking around to see if I have any books that are good for that laying at my disposal, but I don't think I do. I would, you know what I would do? I would do something like go to here. Let's just do this right here. So let's go. I don't know. You can even why not natural landmarks. You can go to images. So you can see, I would just look at these. Now, obviously, we're kind of getting all of a type here, and it's an imperfect search. But I would look at, I hear you, Zach. I was looking for, basic ideas, canyon, barren. I mean, there are, like, the D30 Sandbox Companion probably has some tables like that. I think I have it. Let me see if I have it. I can open up real quick. I have it somewhere, but I don't know if I have it on this PC. Do I have the D30? Let me just give a quick search. I do have it. Okay, so let's see. So the D30 Sandbox Companion has a bunch of stuff. What does it have under Wilderness? Natural features? Well, there you go. So brooks, caves, clearings, fogs, copses, crooked trees, dead forest, mud pits. You're going to get, with all these lists, you're going to get things that are, like, you may not look at it and say, for you might say, this is like kind of phenomenon. So you say, okay, we don't want fog, right? Because fog isn't really a natural feature unless it's foggy all the time, in which case it might be. Crooked tree makes a good one. If it's some areas, a copse of something might be good. In a forest, it might be hard to tell how much of a landmark it is. A bunch of underbrush. It's not. It won't be too hard to find a bunch of these kind of lists. I think the thing is, ultimately, you do want to make your own because you want to have something that's really going to make sense to you, that fits the context that you want. Whoops, that's not what I want. I actually just wanted that. Where's the bookmarks? Is there anything else? Natural features, like that's the explanation. But that can get you started. I really think if you go to image editors and you do things and look for stuff, you can find things. But yeah, I mean, your landmarks, right? And if you have any, I don't know where you live, if you have places around you that you're familiar with, you can look at kind of, well, what are the landmarks? If you live out in the country, if you go hiking, something, you can say, what are the landmarks? It could be, a pond, a big boulder, a hill, a cliff, or an escarpment. Maybe there is some kind of massive tree or group of trees or interesting growth, or a swamp, or some berry bushes or some field of mushrooms or whatever. I mean, you want to think about also, of course, what is the scope of what's the scope? Or the stuff that you could see from a distance, because then maybe big things like hills and rock escarpments and things like that, and big that will make a lot more sense than a pond, which you're probably not going to see, especially in a forest. You might not see a pond until you're right up on it. On the other hand, if you're looking at things that the locals might know, well, they'll probably know about that stuff, and they might use it in their navigations or whatnot. Let's see. Might this table, in couple with knave 2e table and a random adjective gen, make it great? Could be, yeah. And there's also, I think so. And there's, I don't think I have it. Hold on. I just put it away. And let me see. There's also, what's the, shoot, the name of the emulator. Oh, I don't think I have it here. Do I have it? Hold on a minute. The GM emulator, I'm forgetting. Whose name I am forgetting. There's a bunch of GM emulators, but I like the one that's got, let me see if I can find it. Hold on a minute. Library. Mythic. Mythic is the one I was thinking of. And I want to say that Mythic has a bunch of these adjectives and things too, I think, unless I'm misremembering. Random events, descriptions, descriptors. So you get a bunch of stuff like this: hard, harsh, healthy, heavy, historical, horrible, important. I always kind of liked using these things. Now you can, thank you, Warrior, also got yeah, now I feel like, especially with, this is where I think you can use AI kind of tools, which I think are semi-useful. So you could say something like, I don't know, DuckDuckGoose got it, right? Or I could say, I don't know, adjectives describing nature, and I can kind of, what is this, assist? Maybe that didn't work out very well, but then I did get something like that. Arid, awe-inspiring, right? You could see all these, and you could start to use these. Then you can look for synonyms or throw that into something. So good for plot twists. Yeah, I agree. Warrior King Mythic is good for plot twists. Let me just, okay, so I think, well, I still got some stuff to do. However, well, I have a lot of stuff to do, but I'll have to do it as I go here. Style, let's see. I'm probably not going to go. I've been debating how not how tough, I guess. Well, I guess in a sense how tough to make a hex crawl. I'm just going to run it. I'm going to run the same sort of hex crawling things I always do. And I'm just going to go with that. And we'll see where the chips fall. The chips fall where they may. All right, folks. Zegel says, thanks for the advice. The table of random features, is it good? I'm seeking to cover most possible ideas. I mean, I think it's yeah, I think it's decent. If you have the ready reference sheets from, I can't really recommend getting them at this point, but the ready reference sheets was from the Judges Guild back in the 70s, and this D30 Sandbox Companion is very similar. It's just a lot better laid out, but it gives you a lot of the same stuff. So if you have the old ready reference sheets, you could use those, but I find that this works very well. It's got all kinds of generators, and I think you can find things to like. And then if you want to throw in something like Mythic that's got a whole bunch more stuff, then I think it'll put you in good stead. Yeah, the Judges Guild stuff was great. But it was super dense and just not easy to read, to figure out, especially with the distance of time between us now and it then. It's just difficult it can be very difficult to kind of read. what they mean, how they mean. The flow oftentimes doesn't really follow. In the ready reference sheets, you'll see something, and then pages later will be the thing that seems clearly connected to what you did, but it's there's some weird stuff. But it's the bones in there are excellent. But then you get stuff like these, I think, which have just cleaned it up, laid it out in a nice way, made it easy to follow. Yeah, but the one thing I'll say is the Judges Guild stuff is very idiosyncratic with their, because all their stuff was really there, and I guess the implied setting is that city state of the Missile Overlord and the Wilderlands of High Mag, those kind of Wilderlands areas, what like the Wilderland of High Fantasy, and I forget whatever. So it did have that kind of character in there, which did give it a different vibe than I think you see with a lot of this stuff, which I think is more generic. So you will find some stuff that's kind of fun in the older Judges Guild things that don't make it the transition. Like, I don't know, like you could get these weird social encounters on the streets of the city with some nobleman's retinue person kicks you in the shins or something. It's funny. Warrior King says, ready for Clericon? Well, I am clearly not ready, but I hope to be ready before my game on Saturday. So I got to crank out some stuff. I'll be back at later. Probably won't. I probably won't stream later today. I think this is probably it for today, and it might be it for the week. But pretty sure you'll start seeing videos from me. The next videos you see from me, I guess, unless I do one before I leave, will be Clericon stuff. So, Magnus says their old D&D table says the random encounter with a woman table. Yeah. Some of it is. Doesn't quite fit today's environment, but yeah, you could definitely, in all those tables there was some really kind of funny, twisted, weird stuff, and the twisted, weird stuff doesn't tend to make it into today's ones, but some of that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I do wish more. I get it, because the more you lean into something specific, the more people aren't going to find it applicable, and I think that the fact that you can use this D30 and I can recommend it for a whole host of things is because it is flat and generic and it's not trying to portray a very specific thing. All right, folks. Well, have a great rest of your day, night. Whenever you end up watching or listening to this, you will start hearing stuff from me about Clericon, maybe starting tomorrow in the evening. I don't know. We'll see. And then through the weekend, if you happen to make it over to Clericon, then come by and find me and say hi. I'm only running one game, at least on the books. Maybe if it goes super well and there's more stuff, maybe I'll run it again, but I'm just going to do the one. That's all I've got planned. And we'll see how it goes from there, and then I'll be back. So game on, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.